When we want to liven up a project without altering the pattern too much, it's good to use simple ways to decorate our knitting, like noops or bobbles or even cross stitch. Knot stitch is one of those little tweaks that help us turn a basic project into a one-of-a-kind creation. It is used quite often in the elaborate stitch patterns described in this book of Japanese knitting stitches by Hitomi Shida. There are two main variations of the knot stitch, and in this tutorial we'll take a look at both of them. Here's how the knot stitch looks on a swatch. So this is the knot stitch right and this is the knot stitch left. They're very similar, but this one has a little slant to the right and this one has a little slant to the left. That's the only difference. We'll start with the knot stitch right because it's more common and it is a bit easier to make. The first step is to work to the spot where you want to make the knot stitch. So for me it will be right here. Then bring the working yarn to the back of the work and insert the tip of the right needle from right to left into the third stitch on the left needle, like this. And then pass this stitch over the other two. Before you pass the stitches, because that could be a bit tricky to do, I suggest you pull the stitch a bit to kind of make it bigger. And then when you pass the stitches, hold the tip of the left needle with your right index finger to make sure the other two stitches don't slip off. And then it should be pretty easy to do. And then drop the stitch, let it go. So now we created this wrap, the nice knot, but we also decreased a number of stitches. Now we have 2 instead of 3, right? And we're gonna change it in the next step. And in this step, we're gonna knit 1 stitch, then make a yarn over to compensate for the lost stitch and knit another stitch. That's it. That's the knot stitch right. Now let's move on to the knot stitch left. This one has an extra step, and this extra step would be slipping stitches to the right needle first. So just as we did with the knot stitch right, we work to the spot where we plan to make stitches. And make sure you have at least 3 stitches on your left needle because this stitch is worked on 3 stitches. Now slip the stitches from the left needle to the right needle, purlwise without twisting the stitches or doing anything else to them, and make sure the yarn stays at the back of the work. Now insert the tip of the left needle into the third stitch on the right needle, and that would be the first stitch that you slipped. And do the same, pass this stitch over the other 2 stitches and off the needle, like this. Now again, we have 2 stitches instead of 3. But before we do anything, we need to move them from the right needle to the left needle, like this. And now, just like we did in the knot stitch right, we knit 1 stitch, then make a yarn over, and then knit the other stitch. And that's it. That's how you do the knot stitch right and knot stitch left. In the wrong side row, here's what we do. We purl all stitches. So I'll get to that point, and now I have my 3 stitches. They look like purls, and I purl all of them. But if we simply purl the yarn over, then it will be an eyelet, so it will be a hole in your work. And I'm gonna show you the difference. In these columns of stitches, you see that this one, for example, and this one, it has an eyelet. That's when you purl the yarn over as you would normally purl a stitch. But if you don't want to have that eyelet, if you want a closed stitch like this one and this one, then in the wrong side row, when you come to the yarn over, and that's gonna be in just a second, So I came to the yarn over, and it is the same for both variations of the knot stitch. Then you purl the yarn over through the back loop. So we insert the tip of the right needle right here, see, as from this side, and then wrap it with the yarn and pull it through. This creates a twisted stitch, and that closes the hole, so you don't get the hole in your work. And here we are. Even right now you can tell that this stitch clearly has an eyelet and this one doesn't, and that's the difference in how you work a yarn over in the wrong side row. Here you just purl it, and when you want to close it, like happened in this part of the swatch, then you purl the yarn over through the back loop. Both variations of the knot stitch are most often used to create a 3-stitch column on the background that is normally worked in reverse stockinette stitch. But that's not the only way to use this stitch in your knitting. It looks equally nice in rows or columns that are created on plain stockinette stitch. Or we can also arrange those stitches in a checked pattern and then create this lovely stitch pattern. So there are many different ways how you can add a stitch, a knot stitch in your knitting. Just make sure you have at least 3 stitches on your left needle, because this stitch, as you already know, is worked over 3 stitches. As you see, Knot Stitch offers a number of ways to make our knitting more interesting and to create unique projects. The best part is, it is quite easy to do and is a great tool for knitters of all skill levels. To download a chart for this lovely stitch pattern and to get this tutorial as a set of step-by-step photo instructions, follow the link in the description. Thank you for watching this video and have a wonderful week. I'll see you next Thursday.